A Millionaire's Heart, the cafe encounter that changed everything. Marcus Sterling had built an empire worth $300 million, but as he sat across from his 7-year-old daughter Emma in the bustling downtown cafe, he felt like the poorest man alive. Emma's bright hazel eyes sparkled with curiosity as she watched the world around her, her small hands moving gracefully through the air in fluid gestures that Marcus could barely understand. Born deaf, Emma communicated through sign language, a beautiful silent dance that her father had never taken the time to learn. The morning sun streamed through the cafe's large windows, casting golden shadows across their table. Emma pointed excitedly at the pastries behind the glass counter, her fingers forming shapes and symbols that might as well have been hieroglyphs to Marcus. He nodded and smiled, pretending to understand, then simply ordered her favorite chocolate kvass, the one treat he knew she loved without needing words to confirm it. If you're enjoying this story of love, connection, and transformation, please hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, comment below with your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe to Trillionaire in Love for more inspiring stories that touch the heart. Your support means everything to us. Marcus had always been a man of action, solving problems with money, influence, and decisive leadership. But his daughter's deafness wasn't a problem to be solved, it was a reality to be embraced, and he was failing miserably. Since his wife Sarah's death in a car accident 2 years ago, he had thrown himself deeper into work, using board meetings and business deals to avoid confronting the growing chasm between him and the most important person in his world. Emma had adapted beautifully to her silent world. She attended a specialized school where she flourished, making friends who understood her language and teachers who celebrated her quick mind and artistic talents. But at home, communication consisted of basic gestures, written notes, and Marcus's increasingly frustrated attempts to understand what his daughter needed, wanted, or felt. That Tuesday morning was different, though. Marcus had finally listened to his sister Claire's advice to spend quality time with Emma outside their sterile mansion. Take her somewhere normal, Claire had insisted. Stop treating her like she's fragile. She's a child who wants to explore the world, not a problem to be managed. As they sat in the cozy cafe called Morning Grounds, Emma's attention was suddenly captured by something behind Marcus. Her eyes widened with excitement, and she began signing rapidly, her small hands moving with an urgency that made Marcus's heart race. He turned around, expecting to see another child or perhaps a dog that had caught her interest. Instead, he saw a young woman in her early 20s with auburn hair pulled back in a ponytail, wearing a simple green sweater and jeans. She was sitting alone at a corner table with a laptop, seemingly absorbed in her work. But as Marcus watched, something extraordinary happened. The young woman looked up and made eye contact with Emma. Without hesitation, she began signing back, her hands moving with the same fluid grace as Emma's. Marcus watched in stunned silence as his daughter's face lit up with pure joy. For the first time in months, Emma was having a real conversation, not the stilted, simplified exchanges she had with her father, but the kind of animated, backhand, forth dialogue that children her age craved. The young woman closed her laptop and moved to their table with Emma's enthusiastic gesturing as invitation. She knelt down to Emma's eye level and introduced herself through sign language. Emma responded with such animated excitement that Marcus felt his throat tighten with emotion. His daughter was glowing with happiness in a way he hadn't seen since her mother was alive. "Hello," the young woman said, looking up at Marcus with warm brown eyes. "I'm Jessica. Your daughter just told me that you're her hero, but she wishes you could talk to her the way her mommy used to." Marcus felt the words hit him like a physical blow. Hero? He felt anything but heroic. I don't know sign language," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I keep meaning to learn, but work keeps getting in the way, and I tell myself I'll start tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes." Jessica's expression was understanding, not judgmental. "Emma also told me that you work very hard to take care of her, and that she loves you very much. She knows you're trying your best." She paused, watching Emma draw patterns on her napkin. But she also told me she sometimes feels lonely, even when you're together. The confession shattered something inside Marcus. All the money in the world couldn't buy back the connection he'd lost with his daughter. All his success meant nothing if he couldn't communicate with the person who mattered most. I failed her, Marcus said, his voice cracking. After Sarah died, I thought providing for Emma financially was enough. I thought if I could give her the best schools, the best doctors, the best of everything material, that would be love enough. But I can see now that she needs something I can't buy. She needs me to meet her in her world. Jessica smiled gently. It's not too late. Emma is incredibly patient and forgiving. Children usually are. She looked at Emma, who was watching their conversation with curious eyes. Would you like me to teach you some basic signs right now? For the next 2 hours, Marcus experienced something he hadn't felt in years, the joy of learning something not for profit or business advantage, but for love. Jessica taught him how to sign I love you, good morning, are you happy, and what do you want to do today? Simple phrases that felt revolutionary coming from his hands. Emma was the most patient teacher, giggling when Marcus's fingers fumbled, gently correcting his hand positions, and beaming with pride when he successfully signed a complete sentence. Daddy loves Emma very much, he managed, and his daughter launched herself into his arms with such force that other cafe patrons turned to smile at the scene. But the challenges were far from over. Learning sign language as an adult proved more difficult than Marcus had anticipated. His fingers felt clumsy and uncoordinated. The visual spatial nature of the language challenged his text and numbers-oriented brain. Some evenings, after long days at the office, he found himself too mentally exhausted to practice, falling back into old patterns of distracted parenting. Emma, sensing his frustration, would sometimes retreat to her room, leaving Marcus feeling more disconnected than ever. The guilt was overwhelming. He had built companies from the ground up, navigated complex international deals, and managed thousands of employees, yet he struggled with basic communication with his own child. 3 months after the cafe encounter, Marcus made a decision that shocked his business associates and board of directors. He stepped back from day-to-day operations, appointing a capable CEO to run the company while he took a sabbatical. My daughter needs me more than my shareholders do, he explained to his bewildered partners. Jessica had become not just Emma's friend, but a bridge between father and daughter. A graduate student studying deaf education, she began tutoring Marcus 3 times a week. She was patient when he struggled, encouraging when he improved, and honest when he fell short. Learning a language is like building a relationship, Jessica explained during one of their sessions. You can't rush it, you can't force it, and you have to be willing to be vulnerable. Emma can see how hard you're trying, and that effort matters more than perfection. The breakthrough came on a rainy Saturday afternoon, 6 months after their first cafe meeting. Emma had been sick with a fever, restless and unable to sleep. Marcus sat beside her bed, signing stories he'd been practicing. His hands moved slowly, sometimes pausing to remember words, but he persevered. As he signed a story about a brave princess who could speak to animals through magic gestures, Emma's fevered eyes grew wide with wonder. When he finished, she signed back, Daddy, that was beautiful. Tell me another story. For the first time, Marcus understood every word she'd signed. More importantly, he responded fluently, asking what kind of story she wanted to hear. They had their first real conversation entirely in sign language, and Marcus cried tears of joy and relief. The transformation in their relationship was remarkable. Emma began sharing her school experiences, her dreams about becoming an artist, her memories of her mother, and her excitement about having a daddy who could truly listen. Marcus discovered that his daughter was funnier, more thoughtful, and more resilient than he'd ever known. Their morning routine changed completely. Instead of rushed breakfasts with Marcus checking emails on his phone, they had animated conversations about Emma's plans for the day, her art projects, and her growing circle of friends. Emma taught Marcus about her classmates, signing their names and describing their personalities with the vivid detail that children bring to storytelling. The business community watched Marcus's transformation with fascination and, in some cases, judgment. Some competitors assumed he was having a midlife crisis or losing his edge, but Marcus had never felt more focused or purposeful. He began incorporating accessibility initiatives into his companies, hiring deaf employees, and funding scholarships for deaf students pursuing higher education. Emma accompanied him to some business events, where she charmed partners and clients with her artistic talents and infectious enthusiasm. Marcus would proudly interpret for her when needed, and watching his powerful father sign with such care and attention became a talking point that revealed Marcus's character more than any business deal ever had. A year after the cafe encounter, Marcus and Emma returned to Morning Grounds to meet Jessica for what had become their weekly tradition. The cafe staff knew them by name, and other customers often smiled at the sight of the well-dressed businessman having animated sign language conversations with his radiant daughter. "You know what Emma told me yesterday," Jessica said as they settled into their usual corner booth. "She said she used to think being deaf made her different in a sad way, but now she thinks it made her different in a special way because it brought you two closer together." Marcus looked at his daughter, who was happily signing with Jessica about her upcoming art show at school. The challenges weren't over. There would always be communication barriers in a hearing world, social situations where Emma felt isolated, and moments when Marcus still struggled to keep up with her quick signing. But they were facing these challenges together now as a team. That evening, as Marcus tucked Emma into bed, she signed something that took his breath away. "Daddy, I'm proud of you for learning my language. It makes me feel like you think I'm worth the hard work." Marcus signed back, his hands steady and sure. "Emma, you are worth every effort I could ever make. Learning to talk with you has been the greatest success of my life." The story of Marcus and Emma Sterling became legendary in their community. The millionaire who discovered that the most valuable investment he could make was in understanding his daughter's world. Their journey wasn't just about learning sign language. It was about breaking down the barriers that grief, guilt, and misplaced priorities had built between them. Marcus often reflected on that Tuesday morning in the cafe, how a young woman's kindness had opened a door he didn't even know existed. Jessica had shown him that love isn't just about providing and protecting, it's about connecting, listening, and being willing to step into someone else's world with humility and determination. Emma flourished in ways that amazed everyone who knew her. Her art began incorporating themes of communication and connection, with paintings that depicted hands speaking volumes and faces expressing joy through visual language. She spoke at school assemblies about the importance of inclusion and understanding, always with Marcus interpreting proudly beside her. Their relationship became a testament to the power of persistence, love, and the willingness to admit that success in one area of life doesn't automatically translate to success in the most important areas. Marcus learned that being a good father required the same qualities that made him a good businessman: dedication, continuous learning, and the humility to seek help when needed. The cafe, where their transformation began, displayed a framed photo of Marcus and Emma, signed by both of them with a message: "Thank you for being the place where we found our way back to each other." Jessica, who had finished her graduate degree and now ran programs for families with deaf children, often brought her students there to show them what was possible when love was willing to learn a new language. If this story of a father's love and dedication has touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who might need this inspiration, and leave a comment telling us about a time when you had to step out of your comfort zone for someone you love. Don't forget to subscribe to Millionaire in Love and hit that notification bell so you never miss stories that celebrate the power of human connection, love, and second chances. Your support helps us continue bringing you these meaningful stories that remind us what truly matters in life. Thank you for being part of our community.